We got a lot of different types of movements that we can make with our now free-floating, well, almost free-floating synovial joints, all of which depends upon what the ligaments and the following around bone markings and other bones around it would permit. So, for instance, the carpals in your hand are gliding. They are gliding types of movements that's completely surrounded by different types of bones in the carpals, carpal upon carpal. So really, you don't really have free movement here. It is indeed a synovial joint that is filled with synovial fluid in between, but it is, because of how it's organized and arranged, again, it's only really a gliding movement that's allowed. You have some angular movements. And what I want to point out, bear with me now for a moment, these ones here actually are discussing two different things. You're going to notice that these ones right here all have extension, flexion, hyperextension, flexion, extension, hyperextension, flexion, extension, hyperextension. All of them are referring to your position in your anatomical position. Is it more in the front of the anatomical position, or behind in line with the anatomical position, or behind that anatomical position? While these two right here are talking about the size of the angle. Let's go ahead and focus in on the red ones first, though. You're going to notice that when you put your head, your arm, or your leg into the frontal plane, or in front of the anatomical position plane, that then you are extending, or not extending, forgive me, flexing. It is a flexion. If you are returning back to anatomical position from the flexion position, you are actually extending. If you go behind that anatomical position, or the normal anatomical position, then you're hyperextending. So flexion is outward. If you're bringing back that flexed arm back in, it's extending. If you go beyond that posterior portion, or that anatomical position, then it becomes a hyperextension. Applies for the head, applies for the arm, it applies to the leg, and even in the hand. Put your hand off to the side in the anatomical position and flex it forward and see what happens. Well, what do you know? It's flexion. If you bring it back to anatomical position from flexion, it's extension. And yep, sure enough. But if you put it backwards, if you put your hand backwards, then, well, it's hyperextension. Now, what do I mean by the size of the angle for these two in the green box, the elbow joint and the G joint? Well, if you are decreasing the angle of your knee or your arm, then you are flexing. Just like your biceps. You say, hey, show me the gun show, and you flex. That is flexion. When you are increasing the angle, you are extending it. You're sticking out your foot further. You're letting your triceps do its job and pull your arm down. That is an extension. Abduction is pretty straightforward. If you're bringing, again, you're talking anatomical position again. If you are bringing your arm or foot or what have you all back together, you are adding it to your body. It's like this gentleman here is adding that arm to his body, adding his leg to his body. If he's going to abduct it, if he's being abducted by aliens, is he going to stand there nice and calm like, yes, I am Macho Man? No, he's going to go, oh no, and stick out his arms and kick around. He's getting abducted. Oh, I'm a loser. Moving on. Finally, if you're making circles, there's two ways you can make yourself some circles. A circumduction, you are taking your arm at your shoulder joint, or you are taking your leg at your hip joint, and you are drawing a circle. in the air, or you are taking this and you've stuck a pin in your toes and you have a piece of paper, go, look at this, I can make a perfect circle on this paper, and you rotate and circle it around, then that's circumduction. Remember that circum is the beginning of the circumference of a circle. So circumduction refers to making a circle. Rotation is a little bit different than that of circumduction. You're just rotating it or pivoting it. Pivot, pivot, pivot. You're just twirling that arm in that one spot. The special ones, we're going to be ending on these ones here. This is the last bit for you. We got elevation and depression. Elevate, when you're living life elevated, you got your mouth clenched and you're smiling like this lady. You're living life elevated. If you're depressed, well, like me, you or me, or I don't know, maybe just me. When I'm depressed, I have my mouth wide open, ready to eat myself a whole gallon of ice cream. Got to open that mouth to get my ice cream in my mouth. It doesn't make me feel better, but it's delicious. Protraction versus retraction. Protraction, you're just doing an overbite with your jaw. Retraction, you're pulling that jaw back into your neck. Let's go just descend down the body rather than look at the feet quite yet. Let's look at the hands. Think about, for supination, pronation, there's two ways you can think of it. You can think about what anatomical position does when you are supinated or pronated, and you can think about how the hand is going to appear from a person watching. Is the palm going to be down or is the palm going to be up? Follows the same pattern. Another way that I enjoy is, well, pretend you are Gordon Ramsay. You have entered into the soup kitchen, a prestigious place that, well, it's not getting that great reviews. They give you a bowl of soup. You have your hands up. You grab the soup. You take a taste. You pick it up and go, this soup is crap, and you pour it out because you're a pro. It takes you turning that, you're holding onto that bowl and you're pouring it out right in front of them. This soup that I have right here, pour out, is disgusting because I am a pro. Opposition, because, well, Gordon Ramsay's going to be in opposition with a lot of food and restaurants. They're always combating against each other, getting on each other's nerves. They're very pushy. So your fingers can be very pushy to one another. And if you bring your fingers together, they are being in opposition. Okay, let's talk feet. Inversion versus eversion. You're going to notice where that big toe is. So that means this is the medial side. This is the lateral side. When you invert it, you're bringing it into the body. When you evert it, you have an eversion for the body. It's yucky. And you evert that foot away. Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. The bottom of your foot there's called the plantar. So when you flex that foot down, you are putting it towards your plantar. Dorsi means back. So you're bringing the back of your foot to your toe, your tibia. With that is it. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Good luck. I believe in you. And always remember, you got this.